And this is the CSL This Week. Welcome, folks. I'm Alex Bastyovanszky, along with Anthony Totera of OSA Touchline Television, right off the top of the show today. And the reason is today is our CSL playoff preview. Welcome to the show.
Thanks, Alex.
Yeah, it's an exciting time of year, of course, because we're getting right into the playoffs. We're going to start off today with a look at all the quarterfinal matchups. Before we get into that, let's take a look at the league standings, just so we can see how the teams ended up and who is actually going to be matching up in the playoffs. So first place, York Region with 46, Serbian White Eagles, Hamilton, Croatia, Milltown. Anthony, we talked about this a lot, but I mean, the parity at the top especially. Yep. It's amazing how tight these teams were. Then we move on to Portugal, TFC, Brantford, and Toronto, Croatia to wrap up the top teams. So, Anthony, we're going to start off with our first matchup here. York Region and Toronto, Croatia, two teams that, you know, they played each other extremely tight throughout the season. It's going to be a very interesting first-round matchup.
Yeah, Alex, this on paper doesn't look like a matchup at all. It looks like the giants of the CSL against the minnows of the CSL. York Region has been steady all season long for a couple bumps here and there. You know, they've got a deadly duo in Katie and Lucky, Des Humphrey. You know, a lot of veterans on this team, not much young guys, a lot of veterans. And, you know, Toronto, Croatia, Alex, let's be honest, they've got their one big gun in Tirmir Maletic, the top scorer in the CSL, but we know what the York Region shooters are going to do. They'll put a couple guys on him and freeze him out.
I was going to say, you were talking a couple weeks ago about something Ronnie Davidson of Hamilton, Croatia got his players to do. Of course, Maletic, as he said, the #1 scorer in the CSL. Davidson had Hamilton double-teaming Maletic all night long, and he was completely ineffective, and that's what you think they're going to do again.
They're going to do that, and they're going to have to hope that Sandy Matika comes up big for Toronto, Croatia in the nets, because the York Region players are going to be having a field day having shots on this goalie, because their defense has been weak all season long. Alex, this is a team that's very hard to figure out. I don't even think that they should have made it to the playoffs, because that Brampton team made a big push. Let's see if they prove me wrong, but I think York Region is going to just destroy them. Okay,
I've got to disagree a little bit on that, because for me, as you said, Toronto, Croatia, very, very tough team to figure out, but I definitely wouldn't call them minnows. I think that they were, they were really up and down all season long, and the playoffs is an entirely different season, of course. And Toronto, Croatia, I think, were given a really tough schedule, because they had so many games they missed out on, and to me that's very tough to get into a groove when you miss so many games. Then at the end they had it piled on where they had to make up all these games before the end of the season. So my prediction, I'd have to agree with you on that and say York Region, but I think it's going to be a lot closer. Of course, we should point out as well, these are all home-and-home series. There's 2 games in the quarterfinals in each series, so I'd have to agree on York Region, but I think it's going to be closer than you're making it out to be. So we'll see on that one.
I just think very quickly, Alex, that they had a ton of injuries. They're going to have their groove on. If they don't have their groove on, they're just going to get destroyed.
We shall see. Okay, so the last matchup is going to be, this is another contender.
Yeah,
so many great matchups. TFC and Hamilton, the youth, the pacing, the speed, the raw talent of TFC against, I mean, Hamilton's got quite a few good young players as well, but really, really the experience and the coaching also. I mean, Jason Bent against Ronnie Davidson, what an incredible matchup coaching-wise, but the experience and the skill of Hamilton against the youth of TFC.
This is going to be very interesting. We got the veteran in Ronnie Davidson against the youngster in Jason Bent. But Jason Bent has put together a team right now, Alex, that has lost a lot of young fellows to universities down south, that has lost 2 guys that we know that have been called up by the senior team in TFC, and still he finished off quite strong at the end of the season. This is going to be very interesting. Let's talk about Hamilton, Croatia. Jamie Dodds. This guy has the face of a warrior. He understands what it takes to win. He'll take your head off if he has to win a game. That's how Jamie Dodds is. Let's talk about Preston Corporal. Preston Corporal smiles when he scores a goal, smiles when he wins a battle. This is the harmony. This is what it's all about to play for Ronnie Davidson and the Hamilton, Croatia fans.
Jason Shannon bringing in every game for Hamilton, Croatia. Very impressive against Toronto, Croatia a couple of weeks ago. James Melford Jr., the goalie, a guy you want to talk about, who played with the Chicago Fire of MLS for a little while. Very impressive.
Came out of the Chicago Fire system, Alex. This is a young man that I don't think will be here too long. He'll be down again in the MLS next season, probably with a team. He's that good. And also, again, let's talk about TFC a little bit more, Alex. TFC here, again, they've lost a ton of players, but Jason's going to have to adjust, and I know he'll adjust. Him and Paulo Ciccarelli and the rest of their staff, they're going to get things organized and get ready to battle Ronnie Davidson and Hamilton's team.
So one case in point I'll use is back in the summertime when TFC had lost a bunch of players to going to the under-20 tournament that was going on in Spain at the time. They bring up a bunch of players from their junior squad to the academy team, and they knock off Portugal 3-1.
You know, Alex, it would be really important if Nick Dasovic, Tom Anselmi, and the TFC people there that have put a ton of money into this TFC Academy come out and watch these playoff games, because Jason Bent and their staff have done a marvelous job, and they might find another 1 or 2 gems in that team that they could bring up next year, because, hey, TFC unfortunately has done absolutely nothing this season to get themselves to the playoffs. They could get help from Jason Bent and these kids here.
Well, the Reserve Division playoffs are underway, and last Saturday, the Brampton-Dixie Lions and Hamilton, Croatia Reserves kicked off the postseason at St. Joan of Arc. It's first place Brampton against 8th place Hamilton, but of course, as we've seen, the rankings can mean very little in the playoffs. In fact, Croatia have a great chance early on off the corner kick here. The header slides agonizingly wide of the post right there. But the Lions start to pour it on. Brandon Simoes has been a scoring machine for Brampton this year. He continues his hot streak as he breaks in, slots it home, 1-zip Lions, looking very good early on. And they nearly add to it shortly after, off the free kick here. But the Hamilton keeper, watch the save as he skies to make the gorgeous stop and keep it a 1-goal contest. Hamilton's still in it. Second half now, and the Lions almost add to it. Yusuf Walid pretty much open out front here, but he blows the shot well over the net. And then just seconds later, Walid takes the feed from Simoes. But again, he's just off the mark here, and the Lions still only lead by 1 as Walid starts to get just a little bit frustrated. The Lions keep coming. Jonathan Singh decides to go for a little stroll here, nearly goes all the way, cuts inside, but the Hamilton keeper does well to keep it out. Desperation starts to set in for Hamilton. They try their luck from 20 yards out, but that's well off the mark, so still Dixie by 1. Simoes gets in close moments later, but he can't pull the trigger, and Hamilton manages to clear this one away to safety. So many good chances for the Lions in this one, really. Sergio Guillermo provides the volley, but the goalpost provides the stop, and Brampton just can't seem to buy one. They finally do get some insurance, though. Simoes takes the feed, walks in here, look at the speed, slides it home. So Brampton adds a bit of cushion to their lead, and they go up by 2 off the beautiful goal by Brandon Simoes. And it was an important development, because as it turned out, they needed that goal. Moments later, Hamilton pours through the Lions' defense. They catch Luca Leone off his line, knock it in top shelf. Beautiful goal for Hamilton. Unfortunately for them, he simply ran out of time on this day. And it was a well-fought playoff game in the Reserve Division, though. So 2-1 is the final. The Lions will advance to the semis. Kudos to Hamilton, though. They played with emotion and heart right up to the end in this one.